So last week, ESPN released its final ranking of the high school class of 2025, the graduating class, and they moved Jazzy Davidson up from number three to number one. And I should say back to number one because that's where she started as a freshman, but they moved her from number three up to number one. Now, if you watch the video that I put out before she even committed to USC, you know I felt like she should have been number one to begin with. She was clearly the most complete player, the most, she was the best player in the class, make a long story short. And obviously, she showed that in the McDonald's All-American game and at the Nike Hoop Summit game, so that moved ESPN to change their rankings. Now, these rankings don't mean much. They had Jelani Cambridge at number one when I felt that Sarah Strong should have been number one last year. So these rankings don't really mean anything, especially once the players have already committed to the teams that they're going to, have already gotten their NIL deals and things like that. But it does mean something as far as the coaches and recruiting. It does mean something for other players and for people who are just casual fans to take note of certain players. They're more likely to look at a player that's ranked number one than they are the number four player. So for those reasons, I guess it does mean something, and obviously it means something to the players as well. Because you might have saw Leah Chavez's tweet afterwards. Some fans didn't really like the shadiness behind it, but that's neither here nor there. This is about Jazzy Davidson and the impact that I think she's going to have on USC both next year and going forward. Like I said before, she does everything. You name it, she does it. Playmaking on the ball, shot creator from the mid range, pull up from deep, catch and shoot from the corner, attacks closeouts. She gets you paint touches whenever she decides to. She can get wherever she wants to with the ball. She has great counters for whenever players do try to beat her to those spots. She never plays rush. She has great pace. She moves constantly off the ball, whether it's on the perimeter, making herself available for wherever ball handlers get themselves in trouble and need somebody to bail out to, or just cutting off ball. She's a very smart cutter if you ever fall asleep on defense. She gets out ahead in transition. She turns those turnovers into easy twos. She pushes the ball ahead in transition, scans the floor for open teammates. She's a great defender on ball. She's a great help defender. She reads switches. She communicates constantly. So I can't wait to see what she does when she's out there with Kennedy and eventually with Juju as well as the rest of the team. She's a lot stronger than she looks too. Don't let the slim build fool you. She holds her own defensively in the post. She finishes through contact on offense. So I mean, I'm not saying she's a finished product by any means. Of course, she's going to have to get a little bit stronger on the next level. The next level is the next level, but I don't think she's behind anybody developmentally as far as that goes. Everybody's going to have to come in and get a little bit stronger to play D1 basketball. But having a player like Jazzy Davidson to set next to Kennedy Smith out there for USC, it sets them up to have a great defense already. Like, even without looking at Juju Watkins coming back whenever she returns, don't know who they're going to grab in the front court through the transfer portal. Obviously, if you lose your defensive anchor like Rhea Marshall, you lose the size that Clarice Brown, you lose that athleticism and wingspan that Kiki Area Finn presented, you're losing a lot. So they're going to have to fill those spots. But just looking at Jazzy Davidson and Kennedy Smith at the beginning of the next season right now, that's a dangerous defense. They can both defend one through four. They can switch. They both communicate. They're both tough. Yeah, that's just not a fun time for opposing teams, especially if they're guard heavy and they depend on their guards producing a lot of points, which most teams are these days. There's not a lot of teams that play through their bigs. Now, Jazzy being bumped up to number one might actually help them with recruiting the transfer portal because, like I said, these rankings don't mean anything but the performances themselves. I'm pretty sure there's players in the transfer portal who watched that McDonald's All American game and watched the Nike Hoop Summit and even this last Jordan Brand Classic game, and they say, you know what? I thought it was all bad with Juju out, but looking at Jazzy Davidson, thinking about Kennedy Smith and everything that they have there already, yeah, I think this could work. There's got to be some bigs right now that's thinking that. I know I would be. So I think that her and her performance helps them recruit. It obviously helps them going forward in the future. Now I've noticed that she's been really close to Sienna Betts, overtime elite, FIBA, even over these last few games that we've seen. She's been really close to Sienna Betts. Maybe after playing 1 year with her sister, she decides to come on across town to the Galen Center. We never know. I've noticed that Aaliyah Crump always seems to be pretty close by Jazzy Davidson too. Maybe there's some kind of chemistry there. And I really like Aaliyah Crump's game. She's another tall, switchable wing who can really do everything on the court. So she might even help with recruiting some of the next year's class. Salute to Sanaya Hall and Big O. You never know how that goes. But what I do know is that having a player like Jazzy Davidson will actually help Juju Watkins integrate herself back into the team a lot more smoothly because she's so versatile. Just like Kennedy Smith, you can move them all across the court. And as comfortable as she is being a primary ball handler and scorer, she's just as effective and comfortable moving to a secondary or even a third, tertiary role on the team. So I believe that Jazzy Davidson will help make that transition really smooth for Juju Watkins, whether she comes back full speed or has to kind of slowly turn it up. Whatever it is, whatever role you put Jazzy in, she's going to excel in. I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out. That's really all I wanted to do was just give a quick shout out to Jazzy Davidson for taking that number one spot, finishing with that number one spot. Salute to you. That's no small accomplishment, even though we can say the rankings meaning nothing. You wish you were the number one player in your class, right? That's all I'm saying. So salute to Jazzy Davidson for that accomplishment. And I also wanted to get some of these highlights off from these last few games because she's been nothing short of amazing out there. And yeah, fight on.